So I was able to hit Immortal 3 by almost exclusively playing Gekko, and in this video I'll be going over some tips and things I learned throughout all my games. Even though you'll already be familiar with some of these things, chances are if you make it to the end of the video, you'll learn something new. It took me a while to get around to putting this all together, so if you do end up finding it entertaining or useful, please share it with someone who you think will find it useful too. One of the keys to getting value out of Gekko's kit is using his utility together, in this case both Dizzy and Wingman.
Spike planted.
From that util, I already know where all these three enemies are. Cypher's on triple, Jet got stunned close by my Wingman, and I also saw Omen dropping down from lane.
One enemy remaining.
Good job.
In this case, I used Dizzy and Wingman to help myself fight these two backside, which leads to an easy 1v1.
Get him, Wingman.
One enemy remaining.
You're done.
Last player standing.
Ready.
Using this Dizzy when you retake A on ascent clears a lot of sight, like in this case I got 4 assists just off this one flash.
Planted. One enemy remaining.
And then I use the same thing again a few rounds later in the same game.
I keep making some noise for you, chamber.
Right there.
Detain, right here.
Detain to the box.
Dizzy has
So remember, when you're retaking A on ascent, always try and throw Dizzy there. Now we all know that we can pick up Gekko's abilities, but it's important to consider where exactly they're going to land and whether or not it's safe to pick up. Like in this case, because of the Sage and Viper wall that is safe, so I get a second use out of both pieces of utility, which helps me win the round.
Out after.
I'll take it. Go get him, buddy. Up and away. Someone's there.
One enemy
Nice
remaining.
one, Dizzy.
The reason I bring up the orbs and where they land is because, especially with Dizzy, sometimes they'll end up in places that you literally can't retrieve. You'll learn over time where you probably shouldn't throw her, or she'll end up in some of these awkward spots, like you can see I had trouble with. On Pearl there are a few good spots where you can throw Dizzy up and just get free kills.
Buddy's there. Up you go. Dizzy has targets. Run, little man.
Spike dropped.
Dizzy's up top. Somebody's there. Nice one, Dizzy.
You can also throw her up through this hole on B-site Lotus.
Yeah, it's like that.
Two to the left, both.
Did good.
Reloading.
Reloading.
I got the molly, no molly.
60.
Last player standing.
Bomb's half. It's half.
One enemy
I'm
remaining.
good for 3. Please.
Oh, we got it. You got it.
Clutch.
And in general, throwing Dizzy up is a good idea to throw off people's crosshair placement.
I get the. Dizzy's up.
I was hiding
One
a little bit
enemy
and he got
remaining.
me.
I get the. Up you go.
Last player
What the?
standing. One enemy remaining.
Using Dizzy with Breach utility is always great because she can tell you exactly where the enemies are right after Breach has stunned them.
All blind.
One enemy remaining.
Another niche combo with Dizzy is through an Astra wall because the enemies can't hear the wind-up time. One last thing with Dizzy, on top of throwing her straight up to clear angles and gain information, one thing I like to do is throw her across choke points and bounce her off walls. This way you can scan if anyone's there, and then she'll land safely for you to pick up. When it comes to Wingman, I don't really have too many individual tips other than the obvious, which is to make sure you use him in clutch situations to actually get on the spike. Like in this case, I panic and decide to throw him down short, whereas instead if I get him on the spike and hold the angle for him, I probably win this. On the other side of things, when you're attacking in a clutch with Wingman, you once again always want to use him to plant, and then while he's planting, you can push up and try and get a pick.
Mike's ticking. Thanks, little man. Rash is ready.
One enemy remaining.
It's all you, little homie.
Also in clutches, you want to obviously use Wingman not only to just find where the enemies are, but also stun and isolate them to make the clutch easier for you.
22 seconds.
One enemy remaining.
Take 57. Nice.
dude.
Another thing worth noting is that Wingman can tank enough of a Brimstone ultimate to get half of the spike. I believe this also goes for things like Killjoy Nanoswarms if they're too late on activating them. For Mosh, the two main uses to him is going to be one, to obviously just get people off the spike.
One enemy remaining.
Mosh pit.
My half. No.
And then two, you can throw them into choke points as the enemies are pushing to try and split them up. And if you're lucky, you might get a kill as well.
Nice, little homie.
If the enemy has something like a Sova Drone, a Sky Dog, or even a Gekko ultimate, you always want to have Mosh available, so when you hear them use this ability, you can get them while they're standing still.
Blow him up, Mosh.
Spike down B.
My guy.
There are also some particular spots on maps where Mosh is just insane. For example, drop on Lotus.
Drop.
Mosh pit.
One enemy remaining.
Well done,
Nice
well
one.
done, guys.
Other than that, you can't go wrong with using Mosh to clear enemies out of any old corner, and it might just be the start of a nice play.
Crash is ready. Saw you, little homie. Crash got him.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
With Thrash, the area he detains not only goes outwards but also up as well, so you can get enemies that are higher up than you might expect.
Crash hit him. Up we go. Prepare for hellfire. Someone's there. Nice.
Having said that, the effect won't even go through the slightest barriers. Like you can see here, unfortunately, the enemies technically don't have line of sight to Thrash, and they don't get detained. It's also always important to make sure you hear the sound Thrash makes when it hits someone, because based on this frame, you would assume this is guaranteed detained on the Cypher, but apparently he actually managed to break it last second. If you don't know the sound that I'm talking about, it's meant to sound like this when it hits an enemy.
Saw you, little homie. Spike planted.
One enemy remaining.
And to cap it all off, here are some of my best plays using all of Gekko's utility together.
And you're done.
Spike planted.
Dizzy's up.
Got a flash.
Go at him, buddy.
Look.
Crash is ready.
One enemy remaining.
Backside.
Last player standing.
No.
The hunt begins.
Last player standing.
Up and away. Someone's there.
Spike planted. One enemy
I'm
remaining.
good for 3. Crash is
Oh,
going
it's yellow.
again.
Let's go.
Crash is ready.
Yellow last.
Crash got a hit.
No way. Got your molly.
Wingman's defusing.
Nice, I love that.
Shot my wingman.
Oh my.
I'll take it. Wingman's gonna plant.
One enemy remaining. 30 seconds left.
Up you go. Thrash is.
Spike planted.
I'll take it.
Nice.
Dizzy's up top.
One dead, one dead.
Last
Nice.
player standing.
Get him, wingman.
One enemy
I'm
remaining.
good for 3. Thrash
Yeah,
is
boss.
ready. Saw you, little homie. Thrash got him.
Nice.
Nice, Gekko.